Creating a successful business has never been so simple. Welcome to the Journey of Entrepreneurship podcast. Your hosts, Richard Phipps and Ross Lerorio, will provide valuable insights that will help you turn your ideas into reality.
Welcome to another episode of the Journey of Entrepreneurship podcast. My name is Rosler, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Richard Phipps. How are you doing today, Mr. Phipps?
Just great, Rosler. Anytime we're chatting and we're sharing with your audience, it's a great moment, a great time.
And welcome back. I've heard that you've gone on an international trip, got a bit of downtime and some time away from work. How was your trip?
It was awesome, and I wouldn't call it time away from work. I would call it experiencing new horizons as part of the learning and growing process.
As expected. When I heard it was a vacation, I couldn't believe it. I didn't know. You're always working.
It turned out to be quite an experience, and it was well received by me. So
glad to hear that you had a great time.
Yep. We had a chance to talk to some folks at some of the universities in South London, Brighton specifically, some of the staff there about the things we do, and offshoots of Brighton University as well as Sussex University. So we tried to carry that through the trip to France. So it's been a wonderful thing.
Hopefully one day we'll get you to the point where you take an actual vacation. That sounds very impressive. We're going to get you to go back to London and France and make sure you don't do any work. You just enjoy the food and the people.
You know, it's amazing, Rossi. Yeah, I always think when you enjoy what you do, there's no such thing as work. And I really love and enjoy what I do. I enjoy the folks, enjoy sharing. So it's not work at all. Work is, when you have to go and you don't really want to go, but you're compelled because that's how you eat. I don't see it that way. So I'm on vacation all the time.
Well, glad to have you back stateside. And today I'd like to discuss the potential and the idea of adding a partner to an existing business that you may have, or even joining on as a partner to someone else's business, and get some insight on that.
That's a very interesting concept, especially in today's marketplace. Major companies are downsizing. A lot of talented people are, getting benched. Computers are taking over. And in order to compete, you have to be able to produce at about the same level, or add the human touch where it's not possible, add the brain power as part of the process to further advance whatever business enterprise you're embarking on. And partnership can become very useful, but very challenging. And I like to describe it in this way. Oftentimes, people, couples, or groups, to find their commonalities, they date for a while. They explore each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then try to find common ground on which to grow. That common ground, once found, and becomes fertile, and that fertility allows for the growth of ideas, and in relationships, the children, but in business, ideas and concepts for profitability. The same process that you go through for relationship building or development is the same type of process that you go through for partnership acquisitions or partnership arrangements. As you look for partners, you have to find partners that would support the needs you have or complement the needs you have as a business owner or a person intent on developing a business and looking for pieces of that business in others that you don't have yourself. Now, this may not be I want to think this is relevant to a discussion. I tell young ladies and young men along the way that ask questions of me. I say before you consider entering in a relationship, think of yourself. What do you bring to a relationship? What beliefs, what skills, what concepts, what feelings, and generally what baggage. Although I want them to acknowledge that so they can drop it before, because if they don't acknowledge it, they bring it with them into the relationship. And that oftentimes can be a drag on a relationship. Similarly, people coming to a business arrangement, a partnership, they have old skills, habits, practices, ideas, and in developing relationships, you want to be sure that the person you're partnering with is pretty much in line, in sync with your ideology, and can complement that ideology with growth, with concepts that will allow it to grow. Sometimes you can pick a wrong partner, as I have on occasion. Firsthand, that partner may not think the way you do. For example, I'm a positive thinker and believer, as you know, and I act in harmony with my thoughts and beliefs. But I've had partners who can't see anything but the negative outcome of a situation. And although I am cognizant I have to be mindful of those, I don't want to focus on them, because then it takes energy in the wrong direction. But there's some folks that you work with and that's all they can see. What won't work, why it won't work. And I'm looking for, okay, how it can work and why it will work. You have to be able to find people that sort of can move in that same direction. Other than that, it becomes a drag on your energy and resources, and really can impede growth and development. You're looking for a couple things in a partner. You're looking for business knowledge about the particular enterprise you're undertaking. For example, a person may be quite knowledgeable in, let's say, finance, and you are weak in finance, so you would look for a person that can complement that need that you have. But there's more than a person that's in finance or with knowledgeable finance. Work ethic. I heard the pastor out of Texas, I believe out of Texas, and I'm trying to think of his name now, a big gentleman in the ministries, but he was on Oprah, and he said on Oprah at one point in time, if he is going to call somebody at 2:00 in the morning and they can't take his call or he cannot reach them, they're not on his wavelength, and therefore not necessarily eligible to be in his core inner circle. Inner circle would be partners, advisors, etc. So his point was, if some people say, I don't take calls after 9:00. Well, people who are driven really seldom have limitations in that space. If you have a creative idea at 1:00 in the morning and you want to talk to somebody about that idea, partner, friend, associate, advisor, you want to be able to call and, without feeling like you're imposing on somebody. Because if you feel like you're imposing, that's the wrong person. I call people 1:00 in the morning, and people call me 1:00 in the morning. My kids think that I'm crazy, and so does others in my circle, and they would prefer not to see me answer the phone. But the bottom line is, creative juices flow when they flow, and you got to catch those moments. You can't call them back if they go by. And I'm sure many people have had this experience. You have a brainstorm of one idea to support your business, and it's 1:00 in the morning. So I'll write it down in the morning. And then in the morning, you can't remember the first thought or clue about the idea you had that would have propelled your business. So the thought of just being able to be present, get up, write it down, and so you have it, and it does not become a fleeting thought is, something that one must be mindful of. And all of these things happen sort of build around partnership. Timing, work ethics, integrity. You know, if you are in a partnership with somebody that does not have integrity, it's going to adversely impact your business. So, and people can sense, you know, those things away off. Some people think, well, I can mask or I can cover whatever that deficiency is, but you know, people are very astute nowadays, and if you're faking anything, in some of the folks that you encounter will definitely be able to read that fraudulent behavior. And I say fraudulent because it's not genuine. You may not be intending to cheat anybody. You know, the fraudulent has but just the idea of not truly representing who you are, it sort of brings a level of deceit to the situation, and therefore distrust is discovered. So, you know, partnership entails all those pieces. So besides the knowledge that one should have, besides the work ethic, besides the other talents that a person would bring to a situation, one of the key things the partner can bring is finance. And sometimes you may have a great idea, and the person that you pick as a partner has the liquidity to support that idea and they buy into the concept. But first, you have to be sure that you introduce them to the concept and get them involved in a way that they see it as a viable investment and a way to make money with you. Because if individuals go to work with you and they can't make money, you know, most business people are interested in profits. And if there's no profits, more than likely there is no business. So the partnership has to speak to all of that as well. So if a person has no money and you have no money as a business, that's not a good formula. So there are a number of things, like I said, that you have to examine in your business plan as you develop your plan, see where the deficiencies are, and then work to fill those deficiencies as you would in an employment structure. But this is more of a business partnership to support your growth and development. Now, in addition to the analysis that must be done to determine who would be a good partner, the partner organizations that provide networks where partners can be identified or acquired or engaged. However, part of that process requires you as the business owner, the visionary, knowing what you want and from whom. Because, you know, when a young man or young lady starts to date, they don't just go out and connect to the first person that they come across. There's usually an evaluation process, which is the same process we talked about earlier that a partner that you would engage in to select a partner. As I thought about the discussion and partnership, the future of the company is something that ought to be considered. And having a partner does not necessarily mean that you give the partner a significant portion of your company. It might be based on that partner's contribution, both mental, intellectual skills, as well as finance. And that is something that you would have to work with through your accountant to determine what might be a reasonable business offer. Your attorney would also be involved in that process. What would really excite or attract the type of person you want. And that goes back also to the courtship or employment. You know, you can't offer a person what you call a entry-level wage, minimum wage is what I'm thinking, minimum wage, and expect maximum performance at master's level. So a person's knowledge has value. They've spent money on their education, and you have to take all of that into consideration when you're trying to engage a partner. What is it going to take? What will make this offer attractive to the partner? What does the offer our partner bring to the table? What can he cause the business to generate, or how can he cause the business to grow? What would be his contribution? What would be the return on his contribution? So all of these pieces have to be considered. But by and large, I say selecting a partner is a courtship. It should not be instant. Number one, there should be an evaluation process. Number two, a method of evaluating in numbers, statistically, what is being offered, so it can be verified and validated. In addition, you should have some standards that you expect from any partner coming in, and it should be clear what that expectation is in terms of time and resources or other contributions. And I would leave my thought, suggestions, recommendations at that level, so that there's room for this flexibility in the process for those who are seeking partners to inject their own thoughts and ideas, guided by the principles that we just shared with the audience.
Well, that's definitely a lot to consider, but I think the foundational aspects that you gave to the listeners, as far as framing it as any other type of relationship, specifically dating, helps it make it a lot seem a lot more, how can I put it, of a natural process, because dating is something that we all eventually do and grow up and we have experience with, but a lot of us that are first-time business owners don't know how to approach it. But essentially it's, as you said, having a shared vision, shared interest, having a give and take, having somebody that can fill in those gaps that you don't have experience with, and making sure that there's somebody that has the same long-term wavelength as you do, as far as communication and the way that they view work-life balance. You don't want somebody that works late at night and somebody that doesn't like to do that. Some people say, I can't get up in the morning. I'm a late riser. Really? You might have to look for somebody that's a late riser too. You know, an early riser and a late riser, that's not going to work out. Somebody that, some people that like to relax and watch TV, and then if you were, a person that's on the go and, being productive, maximum productivity 24/7. And if television is not a part of your world, it might be difficult to adjust to a partner that likes a lot of television. You might, some people like walking in the park and thinking and then being creative, and you might find somebody that you can compliment in that way, walk in the park or along the river or pond, and just have thinking moments. So there's a lot of pieces that go into it. I want to give you this joke because my daughters think I'm crazy. I tell them, listen, relationships, if you're going to get into relationships, you ought to evaluate yourself and have a chart to evaluate your partner. So think about you and the things you want and the things you want in a partner. And when you find somebody that you think fit the bill, ask the question. They all say, Dad, you don't enter relationships like that. That's business. Well, to me, relationships are business. They can cost you a pretty sum of money in the future if you don't respect it as a business. But the principles are the same. Being able to identify what you really want and know what you really want. And as a business owner, set the vision. The people that will oftentimes tell you. I was listening to this is a piece that I think might qualify. There's a young lady, a writer by the name of Mel. What is her last name now? Anyway, Mel writes about focus and business, entrepreneurship. And she was interviewing this 29-year-old out of New York that wanted to be a fashion designer, especially around
clothes for wedding clothing for ladies, guided by the mom. I forgot, something by mom, weddings by mom, or something by mom. And she went to speak to someone who she thought would be a supportive executive. And the lady told her that if it was a good idea, it would have been done already, nothing new under the sun, and just walloped that young lady's vision. Now, of course, that would not be a good person to have as a partner, because the young lady left feeling so dejected. As a matter of fact, the writer I'm speaking of does, the counseling of sorts over as part of her practice. And she was able to help the young lady to, revisit her experience and sort of recast the experience, and basically said to 1826 with the young lady who told her that as an executive, from an executive's position, that it was nothing that she should pursue. And I don't understand, why an executive would not be supportively critical, but not bashing a person's idea, like putting them out of business. I thought some questions that would guide the young lady to evaluate the process more carefully might have been appropriate, but to tell her it's not something that is going to work would be rather devastating to anybody that heard that. So I raised that as a concern because at the time the young lady was looking for confirmation of her vision and so forth, and we have to be mindful of that as entrepreneurs when we're helping others who are not as successful to move forward in a successful manner. We have to be mindful that we want to lend support and guidance rather than destroying visions of those who would like to pursue entrepreneurship.
I would like to also add to that most of the time when something is revolutionary, there will always be somebody that tells you that you're crazy. They told Wright brothers the same thing. And not to say that every idea is viable, but as you said, it should be constructively critical. There should always be a silver lining to it, and there should be some
way to evaluate.
Exactly. Constructive feedback.
Yep. It's always wonderful to be able to share Rosler with you and your audience, and to have you share your thoughts and ideas are always enlightening and forward to progressive thinking. And it's a pleasure to be able to work with you to get some of this information out to the people that can benefit from it most. And as we do the coaching and counseling, some of it is really being borne out by the students that attend the phone workshops of the phone. I heard some feedback from the New England group as part of that process. So it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Phipps. It's always a pleasure. And if any of the listeners have any questions, they can email me directly at rosler@thinkingoutloudinc.com. Thank you, Mr. Phipps. Have a great day.
You're welcome, my friend. We'll talk soon again.